everybody, welcome to another brand new edition of T Watches a Scary Movie. My name is T, and of course we are talking scary movies. I appreciate you tuning in for a Wednesday night episode. Remember, new episodes are guaranteed to go up every Wednesday night, where I'm going to be talking opinion pieces, interviews, and I'll be discussing movie news from time to time here every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But throughout the week I also release reviews. Of course, we're talking movies, TV shows, games, books, whatever I bring to the table here. I release a few of those throughout the week. So the best way to stay on top of all the horror content that I'm dropping for all of you guys is to get subscribed to my link tree. And you can do that by going to linktr.ee/T-Scary-Movie. If you get subscribed to my link tree, that's going to give you access to the YouTube page so you can get the video versions of the show, to your favorite podcasting platform so you can enjoy the audio only versions of the show, to my Letterboxd page for my written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year, to my TikTok page for my short horror content, including movie news and movie premieres. Stay tuned because I'm going to Maxine tonight, y'all. To my Twitch page where you can catch out my horror gaming, and to my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy my 20% off discount off everything in the Fangoria shop, including a yearly subscription to the physical magazine. Take advantage of all that, y'all. Hit that subscribe button, especially if you're watching on YouTube, as the more followers I get, the more content I put out for all of you. And you don't want to miss it this year, this month, because here in the month of July, I am giving away a Tall Man Funko Pop. And in order to qualify, all you have to do is answer the question that I ask on each episode in the month of July, honestly. I'm gonna put out a bunch of reviews of my Wednesday night episodes, and I always have a question to ask all of you to answer in the comment section on YouTube. Literally, answer the question, you get yourself an entry. One entry per video, but you can enter for as many videos as I put out in the month of July. At the end of the month, I'm gonna do a little drawing, and we'll find out who's getting the Tall Man Funko Pop shipped out to them, which of course means I'm gonna have to get a Phantasm review for you guys up before the end of the month. But hit that subscribe button. And tonight's question. Last week I talked about my honorable mentions for the best of the year so far for 2024. Tonight we're going over what I think are the 5 best horror films of 2024 so far. So I want to know in the comment section for a chance to win a Tall Man Funko Pop. Tell me, what are your top 5 horror films of 2024 so far? That's all. Just tell me your top 5 horror films of 2024 so far in the comment section here on YouTube. Get you an entry doing a Tall Man Funko Pop. So, like I said, last week on our Wednesday episode, I discussed some of the honorable mentions that I had for the best of the year thus far. We talked about films like In a Violent Nature, we talked about Arcadian, Immaculate, The First Omen, a lot of ones that y'all, of course, would have on your best of list. And these were some phenomenal films for sure. But tonight's goal was to go over the 5 films that I think really stand at the top of the year thus far, 7 months in now, because it is July 3rd, 7 months into the year. Where do we stand with the top horror that's been released this year? Now, I do want to say really quickly, because if y'all are subscribed, you caught my review for A Quiet Place Day 1. And in my review, I did say A Quiet Place Day 1 is my favorite horror film of the year, and it's one of the best films of the year. I still absolutely believe that, a week later at this point. But the thing is, to be fair, I am not going to include that in this list because I came up with the 5 films that I was going to discuss last week. I don't think that's fair to redo that list. We will see if A Quiet Place Day 1 holds on to that by the end of the year. But that would mean there has to be 4 incredible horror films coming out between now and December 31st that has to usurp it out of that spot. We're going to see if that'll happen. I think there's some good ones coming out. I don't know if there's going to be 4 other amazing horror films like that. That would be fantastic if there was. Let me know if you think. What are you looking forward to the rest of this year? I know the question is the top 5 of the year so far, but I also want to know, what else are you looking forward to? I know a lot of us got Alien Romulus. We got Longlegs, which just in a couple weeks. God damn, how did that sneak up on us there? We got Trap. We got a lot of really good ones coming out this year. So there's a possibility for sure it could happen, but we will see. So I don't want to waste any time. And these are not in any kind of particular order. I want to make sure y'all are aware of that. There's no particular order here, at least for the last 3. My 1 and 2 are absolutely in the 1 and 2 spot. Again, ignoring A Quiet Place Day 1. My 1 and 2 here are absolutely in the 1 and 2 spot. They're interchangeable depending on the day. But as for the other 3 that I'm going to discuss, they're also interchangeable as well too, between like 3, 4, and 5. So let's just jump right on into it. The first of the 5 entries I want to talk about, one of the best of the year, is Frogman. That's right, Anthony Cousins brought us the found footage horror cryptid that tells about a young man and his friends who go back to his childhood memories, where he encountered some kind of monstrous being as a kid, and he seeks to find the proof to show that this monstrous being known as the Frogman truly does exist. But the chance encounter with this legend will not just change his life, but the life of his closest friends as well. Now, I was in an excellent position to get a physical copy of Frogman this year before it had its release. Got a chance to check it out and was just blown away. I've talked about on this show before how much I really do enjoy found footage horror films, just because I feel that a lot of times found footage horror really affords us the safety that we don't get in a lot of other horror films. To that point to where the camera is us. Like, we are literally now the point of view of what we're watching in these movies. And that has the ability to, in some cases, give us like more of a sense of safety for what we're watching, even though our eyes are literally the camera at that point. But in other circumstances, to where it's a really effective like film that's being done, it just ups the scare factor for it even more. So it works on 2 entirely different levels extremely well, honestly. And so I'm always happy to see a new found footage film comes out that takes advantage of what we've seen before and kind of just builds on that a little bit more. And we're at the point now to where we're getting more films that are coming back from like the 90s, or let me rephrase that are being set in the 90s for the found footage concepts that we're going for. Because I do think that in the 2000s, when this concept really took hold, because the Blair Witch Project, that is, I get it, that's the forefather right there. That is the one that everybody holds the litmus test to, for sure. But it really was the mid 2000s, I would say, that really got this concept out there, and it really took hold. But the thing is that I think a lot of people would agree that if we look from 2000 onward, that most of the films that we get, they're set really in the times that they're being shot. And not that Frogman isn't, because Frogman is very much currently set, but the idea that we're going back to the 90s, to this to our lead character's childhood, to again see this monstrous being that he apparently came across, and trying to find the evidence to prove that it's real, something about that hit my nostalgia the right way. And I love that we are now, 30 years removed from the 90s, 34 years, or 29? How does that work? Whatever. You know the math at this point. But we're this far removed from the 90s to where we're seeing it pop up more and more in media. And that's where I grew up. So obviously that's why this and another entry on my top 5 list of the year really struck a chord with me. Now, beyond that, I love the design of the Frogman creature itself. I love the mythology that Cousins built with it as well, too. That it's not just about this monster, it's about this entire culture that's been set up and created around the legend of Frogman as well too, and how that enables this creature to continue doing what it's been doing for so long, and about how those who find out about the truth of the situation do have a comeuppance coming, that there is going to be hell to pay. And we already know that we are getting Frogman 2, Frogmen, whatever it's going to end up being. We know that is coming for sure, but I was honestly surprised that the execution on this ended up coming through as well as it did. And I don't mean that in a negative standpoint at all, to say that there's a lot of really bad found footage films out there, but I think that it's fairly easy these days to really go with the same concept that so many other found footage movies really do, and it's a slow burn to really like show the creature and show like exactly why this is all happening in the first place. And Frogman kind of gets to it fairly quickly. And not only that, but like once we get into it, it doesn't really let up either, honestly. Like it is a straight run from the moment that Frogman makes its first appearance till the end of the film. And I love keeping tension like that in a found footage film so much, because it is very easy to get relaxed in a lot of these films. I believe they give you a lot more relaxation periods with them. So go and check Frogman out for yourself. Buy it physically if you can, because there are some wonderful treasures on that physical Blu-ray for sure. You don't want to miss it at all. Again, absolute masterpiece, one of the best films of the year. Now, another one that I'm excited to discuss with y'all, Late Night with the Devil. This was very groundbreaking for me, just because it is one of the first independent films that I really sought out to go and see in theaters. One of the things I've talked about over the genesis and evolution of this show is that I was trying to break the mold that I really grew up in and the way that I approached horror, that I only wanted top of the line, mainstream, grade A horror. Like, you had to have these big budgets, the big marketing campaigns behind it, the big stars, had to be in theaters, and that's all I would ever see. Sure, there was going to be some direct to DVD, direct to video, like sequels that I got a chance to see, prequels as well. And in the rise of streaming and direct to digital, there's definitely been a number of those that I've had a chance to check out as well too, and they've been excellent. But realistically, up until about 2 years or so ago, I really honestly kept to the standard that I had set for myself for horror films. And Late Night with the Devil was one of the ones that really helped to change that, because it's one that I knew I wasn't going to be able to go and see like super close to me, that this is not like a 10-minute drive, a 15-minute drive even. Like, this is something I actually have to get in my car and go a distance for to actually go and check out. But if I can do that for this, I can do that with other films. And I'm really happy that I did, honestly, just because Late Night with the Devil, while it's not found footage like Frogman was, it's still like a very similar presentation, where we're watching this late night host present basically a live possession to his late night audience and the mayhem that ends up ensuing from it all. And that right there alone is such an entertaining concept, because in found footage, we're typically getting the same concept over and over in every single film. Again, not negatively, because Frogman does this as well too, but there's that idea that we have to prove what is being said. All right, there's a ghost, there's a demon, there's a monster, there's a witch, there's a vampire, there's a werewolf, there's something out there. We need to first prove it, because this person saying it's real, we cannot give them the benefit of the doubt, so we have to see more and more signs of it. And some movies really will throw it in your face. It's very overt that it's happening, and just a case of the characters catching up to this, which is very much what Late Night with the Devil is. Because the other kind is that shit happens and right away everybody's on the same page. We're being haunted, we're being possessed, some shit's going on, right? And Late Night with the Devil does go with the first of those two options, but it's very overt that we as the audience, I feel, already know what we're looking at. We know what we're seeing. We know what's being presented to us on camera. Of course, this is going to go horribly. The narrator tells us this is going to go horribly at the beginning of this as well too. So we obviously know this is not going to end well for David Damashane and the rest of the cast of this film. But I do love, like, this is one where it's versus Frogman, to where once they get into it, it's off to the races at that point. Late Night with the Devil really does nail that slow build, to where we do get to see bits and pieces of this possession earlier on before the full act actually occurs, and the way that it presents itself and how dangerous this really is for everybody that's involved. And then when shit really starts happening, it's kind of like, well, it's too late now to back out. You already opened that door. And this is one that, compared to a lot of other horror films this year, I love seeing that slow build. And then once we're in it, it feels well deserved. There's a lot of movies that come out that do a really good slow burn, but then the reveal itself, the revelation that comes out of it, just doesn't match what that burn really built you up for, honestly. And Late Night with the Devil masterfully nails that. It absolutely sets the build for everything right and delivers in its payoff quite well. It has levity in places where it definitely needs the levity to help you kind of sink in for for a little bit more, and the scares in it, honestly, are very, very effective as well, too. You know, demonic possession in films is always so interesting to see the way that it's going to play out, and I do feel that the way it's presented here is a little bit of it's a little over the top once like we get to the end of the film, for sure. It's a little bit over the top, but I think honestly that matches up very, very well. And it's nice that I got a chance to catch Ghost Watch within the last year, because honestly, that's very much what this reminded me of, was a far less serious version of Ghost Watch. Ghost Watch, though, is also presented live as it's happening at that exact moment, whereas Late Night with the Devil, we're watching like archival footage, which is a big difference in presentation as well, too. But they're two very similar tales on different sides of the coin, honestly, and it just depends really what your mood is for. But I think it's one of the strongest horror films we have this year. I think David Damashane is finally getting the justified praise that he deserves, especially in this space, because he picks really, really great projects that honestly allow him to expand as an actor and as a creative force. And this is one that did a great job with him. So another one for you to check out. It's on Shudder right now, Late Night with the Devil. So what else are we talking here? All right, another one for you, New Life. This is one I had the chance to check out and I got early access to check this one out here. And honestly, I stayed away from the marketing for it, because sometimes when I get a chance to get early access to a film, it's easier just for me just to go in blind, check it out, and hope that it's something I'm gonna end up really liking. And honestly, I really, really did, because I wasn't expecting what we got. You know, the movie sets up that and again, all of these you can catch in the reviews I've done for them. But the movie sets up that this young woman is on the run, potentially from an abusive relationship she was in, to where she had to make a choice that unfortunately not only put her boyfriend at risk, but it put her at risk as well too. And so from the jump of things, it seems like we're following around like a romantic thriller. Like, okay, well, the boyfriend could be dead. Is he going to show back up? Is a family member going to show back up? Is a cop on the run to catch this young woman? Like, what's the case here? But then we're also introduced to this she's not a government agent, but we're introduced to Sonya Walger's character, who is attempting to track this woman down. And as we begin to get more and more information, it stops being this romantic thriller, and it actually turns into this zombie pandemic-esque kind of horror film instead, which is in a lot of cases a much more effective kind of plot to really tell, especially in the world we live in right now, just coming off of COVID, and we're still dealing with COVID right now, and we're getting back into zombie films that are not necessarily about zombies itself, because we're getting the 28 Days Later sequel next year, 28 years later, and we're really going to continue on past that. And this movie is right in that realm. And the fact that it's done on such a smaller scale, that we follow around, you know, our lead character as she ends up in this smaller town, and the effect that her presence has on this small town, and how it unfortunately ruins a number of people's lives, and about how these two women who, again, like I've already used this, but from different sides of the coin, that are approaching this situation so differently, are leaving a path of destruction in their wake, and the other one is just trying to put the pieces together, while she herself is dealing with her own her own life or death situation and her own body at that time. And I love getting to see that dichotomy about how these two women who are affected by these two very, very vastly different life-changing diseases are going about carrying on their lives. And it tells you a story of what's more important, something that somebody else wants to do that's going to harm something else, or about caring for everybody else that's out there. And it's a very, very well done thriller here. And again, honestly, the fact that it changes its genre halfway through works out so well, because then it adds on the necessary tension that we need. Because again, you don't really feel that much in the first half of the film with the romantic thriller elements of it, but then as it shifts again into a zombie-esque, apocalyptic, infected kind of horror film instead, then the real tension starts showing up, and it becomes a much more enjoyable film. One of the better ones all year. Great performances in it. Some really great makeup to it as well, too, honestly. And that ending. Woo! That ending, y'all. Definitely one you're going to want to go check out for yourself right now. You can rent or purchase that on streaming platforms right now. That's New Life. So, down to the final two here. And again, y'all, you know I do short episodes typically, but again, it's new season, so we're starting things off a little bit of a bang. You should have expected this one. Infested. Yes, Infested. It's insanity that a spider movie is ending up on my best of the year. But guys, I can't deny it. This movie is incredible, and it shook me in a way that only a couple of other films have really shook me this year, honestly. And I get that because, again, just a few minutes ago, I told you about how my evolving taste in horrors continually evolve over the years. Now I'm trying to do better with it. And I look back to a lot of the horror films that I enjoyed in my youth, a lot of which I still like. Your Screams, your I Know What You Did Last Summers, your Nightmare on Elm Street, your Friday the 13th, all that stuff. And I still absolutely love all of that. But it is kind of interesting that in the last, especially in the last few years, the rise of artistic horror is just growing and growing and growing. And we're getting films like A New Life that comes out that's captivating, but we're still somehow also getting these heavily nuanced films that are bringing you all like the popcorn scares that you want in a horror film, but actually have gravitas as well too. And that's what Infested really was. The fact that this young man purchases a spider that ends up ruining his entire life, ruins his entire life and the life of the lives of those around him is just insane. It's insane. We've all seen Arachnophobia. If you haven't, go change your life. Go watch Arachnophobia. Even if you hate spiders the way that I do, it's a phenomenal, phenomenal film. But Arachnophobia is very much a case of a guy ends up in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I joked earlier this year about how Arachnophobia could really work as a slasher. It does. Watch it again. Arachnophobia is entirely a spider slasher. It's hilarious. It's a spider slasher. But Infested just seems like it's a much more grander scale. And especially coming pretty much the same time as the movie Sting, which used almost the exact same plot for it, honestly, except the fact that this little girl ends up finding a spider that happens to be an alien versus this young man purchasing a spider that happens to be this exotic, heavily dangerous, heavily poisonous, crazy-ass spider instead. I know we have a bit of differences in there, but they're kind of the same though. But Infested adds these characters that you cannot help but to love and to root for and to feel like absolute garbage when they get taken out. You know, the fact that I was sad when so many of these characters were getting killed off, and it was breaking my heart watching them cry, watching them be sad. These are reactions that I wasn't getting from a lot of other characters in different films this year. These characters are so good at evoking emotion here in Infested, and that is the sign of success for sure. And you couple that with the genuine scares of these spiders and the fact that they try to use science to explain the reason why some of these spiders are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And whether you believe it or not, it is a little bit more based in reality than a spider alien coming to Earth and continually growing bigger every time it eats. Honestly, it's a good setup. It's a good setup for it there. There's not going to be a better spider movie that comes out anytime soon to this, honestly. And the social commentary here about how the people living in these apartments, very similar to like an Attack the Block, are thrown away, they're outcast, they're people that aren't cared about, they're easily boarded up and exterminated, which tells the story a lot about how spiders are treated in a lot of cases, which I'm so sorry. I fucking hate spiders. I hate them. They scare the shit out of me, honestly. But the social commentary there, which I know makes me sound absolutely terrible, but spiders scare me, man. But the social commentary on it is phenomenal. It is so good. Check it out. That's another one that's available right now on Shudder for you guys to see as well too. And that leaves the one that you should have expected at this point here. I Saw the TV Glow. Without a doubt, this has been my favorite horror film of the year. And yes, the fact that so much of it is taking place in the 90s plays a big role in that. But I honestly think that Jane Schoenbaum really tapped into the perfect nostalgia here with this film. And there's always going to be those movies that does that. Like, everybody always brings up like films like Dazed and Confused, and you can look at a lot of like Richard Linklater's his filmography as well too. But I saw the TV Glow should be discussed with those because honestly it is a time capsule back to the 90s. The constant WB, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Disney Channel references from the 90s that are in that film are absolutely ridiculous. You have Fred Durst in a small role in there as well too, which shouldn't be lost on anybody. This tells a powerful tale of not willing to see the truth about yourself and do something scary and painful and like world ending to really find your own truth. Just being stuck in your nostalgia, being stuck in your childlike existence, and being afraid to move on and really experience your life, to live your true life, your true identity. The identity politics of this film are fascinating and terrifying in the best of ways. And as the follow-up to We're All Going to the World's Fair, which I thought was an amazing film, I think that this beats this out so easily because it's a little bit more of a tangible like fear that we have within this. And it's honestly up to the viewer to really interpret if, you know, the meta message of it, or I guess meta is not the right word for it, if the supernatural message of it is realistically happening. Is that really going down in this film? That's a great question and interpretation for you who ends up watching it. But no matter what, I feel that if you grew up in that time, it's hard not to feel your heart like just absolutely being crushed in a number of these different moments, and not feel that no matter how good of a life that you've led, that you've probably lived one of these moments that these great characters, and I saw the TV Glow, have gone through at one point or another. The scares in this one are definitely not one that are on the are more so this big scary monster popping up and killing you or eating you or anything like that. It's a lot to do with the way your life actually works. And it's one that I think very much should not be missed. It's a great coming of age tale that's gonna fuck with a lot of you for sure. So those are what's on the top of my list for 2024 so far, and I'm excited for the second half of this year to bring more great horror goodness to all of you. Remember again, tell me in the comment section what your top 5 of the year are so far as well too. That's all you gotta do for a chance to win a Tall Man Funko Pop. Hit that subscribe button, folks, cause I will have my review of Maxine up for you here too. Probably won't be tomorrow, probably be on Friday to be completely honest. But we got more great reviews coming out for you, y'all, and I appreciate you tuning in. That's it for tonight, though. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.
Boy here is a big fan of Fangoria. So, if you want to check out the world's best horror magazine that's out there, get a chance to get yourself your own subscription, which I just got my first one back in 2022 and I don't regret it for a second. But if you want your own Fangoria subscription or you like the Fangoria merchandise, then head over to the Fangoria shop and use my link if you want to save yourself some money, folks. That's an easy one to remember. Just go to shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW. Again, that's shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW, or use my specific code AXDEW at checkout. You can save 20% off your entire order, and that implies 2 subscription and one-time orders as well. You don't want to miss out, folks, because with the magnitude of horror movies we've had released in the last few years, and with what we have on the horizon, Fangoria is going to be your #1 source for all that great, juicy, bloody information in the world of horror. So again, head to shop.fangoria.com. Hey, Hey there, folks! Thanks for tuning in to T-Watch This Scary Movie. I appreciate you checking out another review or movie news, whether we're talking movies, TV shows, books, or games, whatever, it's all scary. Remember, you can check out new episodes every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the YouTube page for video. That's youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. Again, youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. And you can check out the audio version on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Just search T Watch the Scary Movie or TWASM. Don't forget, my name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.